Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Joel, and a lovely day here that I get to show you what we're doing. We're filming in the truck here, because as you can see, it is actually snowing in April. I believe it's, April 6th, and it's snowing here in Ohio. So if anyone's ever looking for a reason to not live in Ohio, this is it. Just the worst place to live. But I'm super excited to show you guys what we're doing today. I'm filming the intro here, and then I'll show you guys around the job site here. But we're grinding a stump, so I'm going to show you guys the SG75, and I'm super excited to show you the machine, and then show you some video and film of it actually grinding the stumps. So here we go. Alrighty, the snow has slowed down a little bit, and we're out here. We're gonna get started, but this is actually the job that we showed on Facebook a little bit, where we cleaned up all the stuff that was over here and we cut down this maple tree. So this is the stump that is left, and this thing is just ginormous, absolutely ginormous. Each one of these trunks probably at least 3 foot in diameter. But I mean, around some of the bigger portions here, probably bigger. And we are tasked with grinding the stump today. So we are not hauling the logs off, but we do have to cut the logs. So we're gonna try cutting this about as low as we can to the ground here. Move some of these logs off. Try to cut this one probably about right there, get as low as we can, because this stump is going to take a while. It's oak, so it's going to be pretty hard, but we're going to start cutting on this and try to get these logs out of the way. Hopefully we don't hit the dirt too much, but here we go. Would you mind going and grabbing the wedges and the axe, Cameron? That'd be great. Well, dang. Got a ton of sawdust in my boot. I tried buying pants that are longer so that they cover over top, but this one was risen up, so that'll be fun. Heavy log. Luckily, we just redid their lawn here, and we get to tear it up all over. And into it. Alrighty guys, here's a little walk around on our SG75 Bandit stump grinder. I believe it's a 2020. And the picture that's showing right now is when we first got it, and then the picture of after we painted it. So as you can see, this machine was definitely used and abused. Cosmetically, I've never seen a piece of machinery beat up so bad. I mean, this thing I think only had 800 hours when we first bought it. So the person that had it just completely did not care about this machine at all. Or he just made a lot more money than me, and he could use his machine how he wants. But this thing's got, I believe it's a 75 horse diesel motor inside of here. You can see some of it. Pretty clean. Brand new, these machines are about $100,000. They had this listed for $50,000. I bought it for $40,000. So I really worked the guy, try to get a good deal. The teeth aren't in horrible shape, but this thing is just a monster. There's a lot of things I really, really like about this machine. Some things I don't like as much. And I'll try talking you some of those while we're grinding. But one of the things that is really, really nice, which I don't know if the camera captures, is the turn radius on this machine is the largest out of any stump grinder I've ever ran. I've ran RG80s. I've ran some of the big, I forget, I believe it's the Bandit wheeled one, which is kind of similar configuration to this, but a little bit different. But the turn radius is absolutely ginormous. The diesel motor really, really makes it that this thing will chew up really well. A big feature that they sell on this is that these sides here lift up, and then this machine, you can see down here, has channels with the hydraulic cylinder there that it actually can pull in the tracks, where this thing can go from, I imagine this is probably 4.5 feet between the tracks here. It can squeak down to 3 foot. So this thing can get pretty much anywhere. It is a long machine, which I'm not super happy about, but it's pretty comparable to the RG80. So it can be a little bit tight sometimes, but yeah, this thing is an absolute monster. Let me know down in the comments what you guys are interested to know about this thing. I'll try to answer the best I can. But we're going to be starting to grind this stump. We are going to be leaving a section of this trunk here. We're only going to be grinding the edges. The homeowner has some ideas of what he wants to do with the actual central portion of it. So we will grind the stuff that's behind this, and then we're going to grind some of the edges here. So enjoy. So I've had a lot of people asking me about what's the best way of grinding a stump, and I've got my opinion just the same as anybody else. But the way that I teach my guys, which for me is just the most thorough way of doing it, is basically looking at where is the head of the stump grinder, because pretty much all the time there's just the motor head on the one side, and then it's free and clear on the other side. Let me actually turn this off real quick. So there's a motor head on one side, free and clear on the other side. How I always teach is whichever the free side is, you go to the outside, the very outside of the stump, and then you start all the way on that side. So when you're grinding, that head is not going to be hitting into anything. Because for instance, if we started all the way on the other side and tried to grind the stump starting all the way on, this would be the left side of the grinder when you stand behind it, so all the way on the left side, now when you're coming over and you bring it over, it's going to smack into that stump. So basically by starting all the way on the one side, you do this, and then we basically get our cutting head down to depth. So we will get it, usually it's about 6 to 8 inches is the deepest that we go with the grinder. So we'll grind, we'll go down, and then basically we just, this has a creep function here, where you just barely creep forward, and then you just go left all the way, and then you creep forward when you're all the way left, so you creep forward, and then you go right. And then you just go back and forth, taking the whole pass here, and then basically you back up, and then you move over, and then you do another pass. You back up and you move over and you do another pass. This one isn't that clean and easy of a stump to show that, because this is just a mess. But I'm kind of doing that. I'm gonna move over right here and basically just bring my cutting head all the way to one side, and then I'm gonna line it up, and then I'm gonna come over, and I'll just keep going back and forth and inching forward. And I might need to move the cutting head up and down a little bit to get some of this because it's so high. But that is how we do stumps. Not saying it's the only way, but for us it's by far the most thorough way, and making sure that you don't smack the machine into the stump every single time. Alrighty, so we just did our first pass here. I tried to get as deep as I could, but obviously the top of that cutting head was getting stuck on the log. So I'm gonna try pushing some of this out of the way just to see if we need to get any deeper with the stump grinder. So we're going to use the dingo for that. So we've got the branch manager grapple and the broom. So this broom can be pretty handy for a lot of stuff. I think it'll do just fine to push that stuff out of the way. So here we are, I just pushed some of this stuff out of the way. I am going to do a second pass on this, just to try to go a little bit deeper. A lot of this is still grinding that's on top, but I want to make sure that I get deep enough. We don't want to get a call back, so we're going to do a second pass here. So here we are with the after video here. We just finished up grinding the stump. We spread out a lot of the stump grindings. Again, the homeowner, for some idea, he wants to reuse this portion of stump here. Not too sure, but it doesn't really matter to me. So we ground all the big portion of stuff that was over here to the right of it. Spread everything smooth. Honestly, for how high a lot of the top portions of these stumps, I mean, if you remember how high it was, I think that it really turned out good. I was surprised at how high the head on that stump grinder lifted up to be able to reach a lot of that. Generally, a stump grinder's biggest concern is how deep it goes, not how high it is. So definitely an interesting little project here. But as far as my thoughts on the stump grinder itself, it was not my first choice actually to purchase this specific machine. I wanted an RG80. We rented a lot of RG80s, and I had some preferences with the controls. The SG75 Bandits, they have auto feed, basically, that when you bring the head over and you're grinding and you bring it to a certain RPM that the motor drops to, it automatically cuts off the controls, revs back up, and then it'll continue grinding. The RG80 is not like that. And it's a good and bad thing, because if you are not necessarily the most experienced with the machine, it can be nice to have something that has the shut off that controls the RPMs on the motor so you aren't constantly killing it. But personally, just with more experience with the stump grinders, I like to be able to really control the machine, because I feel like this machine, they throttled it really, really high, where it doesn't really eat as much as I think it could. I think the motor could handle more, but that's just my personal opinion. Some other things on the machine that are good and bad is, obviously this is a tracked machine, so this thing will not get stuck. We just did a job last week that the mud was probably up to some of the frame pieces. I mean, maybe even a little bit higher. This thing just will not get stuck. A lot of traction. The blade on the back as well. If you were ever like doing a lot of work that you need to push the pile, back into the stump area, this machine will do it far better than any of the wheeled machines. So definitely nice for that. But this thing is really, really messy. And obviously any stump grinder is messy, but this one specifically, with how a lot of these areas down inside of here are, where the channels, and then on top of this little peak there, and then in between the tracks, this thing really, really just holds a lot of the dirt. I mean, it holds the dirt inside the track itself. And that can be frustrating. I mean, if you were doing a lot of littler stumps and you had to do multiple on a property, we have to spend a significant amount of time blowing this thing off in between each stump hole. Because if we run it through the yard without blowing it off, we make a mess all through the yard. Homeowners don't like that. So as far as track compared to wheeled, I think the wheeled ones are way better for that. Generally, the only spot that the stump grindings get caked up in is in the tires themselves. But generally, it doesn't really track that much throughout the yard. I didn't feel like with the RG80 at least. But as far as a big stump grinder that has a really wide turn radius, I think this is the best out of all of them by far. This one, I don't know the exact angle difference, but I feel like I can get an extra maybe 15 degrees on each side. Maybe that's a little much, but it's a lot. I mean, it's very, very noticeable. Where you have to take 4 passes with the RG80, you might only have to take 3 passes with this because of how wide it gets. So I would say if anyone isn't too afraid of the computer and the electronics that they put in these newer machines, then I would say go for it with this machine. It puts up with a lot of abuse. I've ran these for a very long time, and they hold up really well. I would say if you're looking for maybe a cheaper, less expensive option that doesn't have as much computers in it, probably consider some of the RG55s. I feel like those are really good mid-sized if you keep good teeth on them, keep them sharp. They can really manage a lot, and they're not too terribly expensive. But that's my personal thoughts, my personal opinion. I'm glad that I got to show you just the process of grinding these stumps and just seeing how incredible this machine is. So definitely shoot in the comment section any sort of questions, any sort of opinions. I'm not saying I'm right, but I feel like I've had a decent experience with enough of these different pieces of machinery to at least have a good idea of what's generally good, bad, and the things that are good and bad about them just throughout the jobs. So thanks for watching. Thanks, guys.